the other contributed to your journey in this institution of excellence and beyond. Now, I must confess that when I received the invitation to attend this convocation and speak, I was kind of perplexed as to what should the theme of my address be today. What wisdom can a judge of a constitutional court impart to young innovators and entrepreneurs at the forefront of our ongoing technological revolution? It is often said that technology develops at a speed which the law cannot keep up with. This may seem true in the heat of the moment, but if we take a step back, our history is a testament to the fact that law and technological developments share a dialectic relationship. They speak to one another constantly, each one pushing the other forward. At a point in history, ships were considered the pinnacle of modern technology. But with every voyage came a significant risk of losing all your goods and the ship itself, and together with it, human life, to the misfortune of the high seas. It was the law of corporate ownership and financing that allowed businesses to manage the risk of overseas voyages, leading to the first generation of entrepreneurs and venture capitalists. Later, it was the rapid technological innovation of the Industrial Revolution that led to the disciplines of labor law and patent law. Tomorrow, your creations will frame the next stage of the debate between technology and the law. So today I want to leave you with two questions that I hope you ask yourself. What are the values your technology represents? And what are its affordances? When I say value, I do not mean the monetary worth of your ideas, innovations, or technology. I mean what principled values the technology represents, and in particular, what are the values it furthers in the context you seek to deploy it. Let me give you an example. I remember a time when speaking to another person required a landline connection, and working with a colleague meant that you had to be in the same room physically. Today, video conferencing technology has transformed the way we communicate and work. Thus, we can say that the values of this technology are facilitating communication and collaboration. The values of a technology may further change in different contexts. You only need to look at the Indian judiciary to know how this may be the case. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Supreme Court introduced virtual hearings, which till date allows litigants and lawyers from outside Delhi to appear before the Supreme Court. Courts across India held as many as 43 million hearings. These millions of hearings made us quickly realize how virtual hearings helped female lawyers who otherwise face difficulties appearing physically in court due to the gendered demands of domestic work and caregiving. With virtual hearings, they could argue from their homes. Video conferencing also facilitated the live streaming of the Constitution Bench proceedings, which has allowed every citizen to stay informed about ongoing cases. If they so wish, deployed in this context, the values of video conferencing technology extend beyond mere communication and collaboration to now encompass inclusivity and access to justice. As technologists and as engineers, you may look at technology in terms of numbers, optimizations, efficiencies, scale, upgrades, and capacities. But I also encourage all of you to ponder the human and societal values that technologies represent, especially in the context in which they will be deployed. Why do I say this? This is because technological developments do not take place in a social vacuum. They take place amongst an intricate tapestry of societal realities and legal, economic, and political structures. A few days ago, a movie was released about one of the world's most famous scientists, Robert Oppenheimer, a key architect of the atomic bomb. Oppenheimer and his team were acutely conscious of how their technology would shape the world, eventually even seeking a ban on nuclear weapons and opposing the creation of larger bombs. I refer to them today not to acclaim or denounce them, but to highlight the importance of recognizing the impact of even theoretical science in the real world. It would be a convenient abdication of reason to proclaim that technology is merely neutral. Make no bones about it. No technology is neutral. When deployed in real-world contexts, technological use cases come to fulfill and represent certain human values. Therefore, values matter. Tomorrow, you will be amongst the scientific leaders that will shape the nation's thoughts on how technology and society should interact. The Constitution of India explicitly enjoins all citizens to develop the scientific temper. Thus, our Constitution emphasizes that reason and science can empower us to secure and promote liberty, equality, and social justice. Our Constitution has laid down the basic framework of rights and liberties to enable the growth and innovation in the fields of science and technology. In turn, the power of science and technology could be harnessed to attain human rights and liberties. Be proud of the fact that you live today in a country and in a society where you can choose your future. You can choose the startup you want to initiate. You can choose the technology which you want to foster. No big or deep state is commanding you to do that. Remember with pride that this is what our nation has given you. With the help of science, we realize and acknowledge our inherent biases and dogmas. Science guides us towards the truth by helping us to separate our observation from our preconception. During the old days in Europe and in the United States, lightning often struck the churches because of their elevated architecture and the metallic bells. Lightning was considered as a supernatural phenomenon, a manifestation of the demon itself. During thunderstorms, the churches used to toll bells in the hope of repelling lightning. Many bell ringers lost their lives because of lightning. With a simple kite experiment, Benjamin Franklin proved that lightning was nothing but electricity and could be safely discharged using a conductor, prompting the use of grounding rods. This demonstrates how a scientific temper can alter societal beliefs and harmful practices. I now want to turn to my second question. What are the affordances created by a particular technology? By this I mean, what new behaviors does technology enable or facilitate? I was at the Brain Center this morning. This institution has imbibed in you the necessary skills and expertise to engender technological advancement in diverse fields such as healthcare, energy, infrastructure, and transportation, even across the oceans and space. Every incremental change in technology has the potential to transform the lives of individuals, bridge societal divides, and secure justice for all. But a new technology can also create unexpected abilities and facilitate unintended behaviors. Let me give you an example. I remember the days when letters were the dominant mode of communication. Letters were slow, often taking days to reach their intended recipient. Every week I would see the postal mark on a letter from my sister, and it was posted 1 week or 10 days earlier in the United States. Email thus represented a revolution, allowing for instant communication. But emails also created an affordance for electronic interception. It is very hard to open and read a letter without the recipient knowing, and almost impossible to do at scale. But with the advent of emails, you may never know that your email has been intercepted, and this can be done at an unprecedented scale. Thus, while electronic communications undoubtedly represent the values of communication and collaboration, they also create the possibility of mass surveillance of our most personal and intimate details and ideas. Privacy, confidentiality, security, transparency, and anonymity are some of the basic expectations that people have from the technology they use and access on a daily basis. And both technology and the law have striven to secure this. Today, can you think of sending a message to another person without thinking about privacy and confidentiality? We all want our messages to be end-to-end encrypted. This demonstrates how every technology creates new affordances, which in turn modify human behavior and lead to further technological and legal developments. Every new technology enables new behaviors from citizens, private companies, and governments alike. Social media has allowed us to connect with people, removing the barriers of age and nationality. It allows for an online ordering of millions of individuals that could never take place in an offline world. The marketplace of ideas has new connotations in the era of the social media and the internet. A person may share a post to millions online instantaneously, but could never do this offline. However, this ease of communication has enabled new behaviors, such as online abuse and trolling. This is one example of how new technological affordances create new behaviors that both the law and technology have to anticipate and interdict. An American writer, Ursula Le Guin, once said that if you cannot or will not imagine the results of your actions, there is no way you can act morally or responsibly. I think this eloquently sums up the task of future entrepreneurs like you, to carefully think through the types of affordances new technologies enable and guard against potential abuses. Where technology itself fails to address the negative behaviors facilitated by new developments, the law will step in to safeguard individual rights and continue the centuries-long dialogue between scientific development and legal regulation. I will end my speech by looking at the future briefly. Today, artificial intelligence are the two words on everybody's lips. AI is being deployed rapidly to enhance the efficiency of computer software and hardware. In a relatively short period of time, AI tools such as ChatGPT have shown that a computer can also be adept at cracking jokes, writing codes, or even drafting legal memos. AI represents not just a new frontier, but a rapidly evolving one as more of the world comes online. Even at the Supreme Court, we are using AI on a pilot basis for live transcriptions of court proceedings. The trepidations voiced by many about the advent of AI is another example of how new technologies do not exist in a vacuum, but are brought forth into complex social realities. Many of you will be tasked with demonstrating how AI can operate for the purpose of furthering human interests and not endangering them. But keep in mind those two questions about what values a particular deployment of AI represents and what affordances it creates. I have been fascinated personally with the development of AI image generating software, which allows you to put in a written prompt which will generate an image. But I am also cognizant of its potential misuse to create deep fakes, to mislead, to threaten, and to bully individuals. What are the steps that we can take to enjoy the benefits of such technology while curbing its misuse for harmful purposes will be amongst the key challenges that all of you will take. Technology should not in any way create a fear in the mind of users of online abuse or harassment. Such fear directly impacts our ability to express our thoughts in a free and open manner. Another significant impact of AI is its potential to perpetuate and amplify discrimination and undermine the right to equal treatment. Many AI systems have been shown to exhibit biased decision-making based on data inputs that reflect societal prejudices. For example, AI recruitment tools deployed by firms favored men over women because the tools were trained on profiles of successful employees who, for gendered reasons, happen to be predominantly male. In this way, data-driven systems can perpetuate biases and marginalize the social control mechanisms that govern human behavior. As we look to the future, we should look at science and technology as a significant means to human development. And by human development, I mean the development of human capabilities and functioning. Many people in India cannot effectively exercise their freedoms because they lack access to the required resources and public goods. Technology is an important freedom-enhancing resource and should play a role in increasing the ambit of opportunities. To give you one last example, the National Legal Services Authorities has introduced the tele-law service to facilitate delivery of legal advice through the use of information and communication technology. During the COVID-19 pandemic, women and people belonging to the marginalized sections extensively made use of the tele-law facility to receive legal advice on issues ranging from domestic violence to property disputes. The real redemption of technology lies in enabling freedoms and human rights of every individual in the global world. Science and technology have the ability to make us resilient to threats that loom over future freedoms. Take climate change, for instance. Climate change has the potential to negatively impact effective enjoyment of a variety of human rights, such as life, water, food, health, and sanitation. We now have international treaties, such as the Paris Agreement, which seek to lay down clear targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. For most of us, our biggest contribution to climate change will be consciously choosing to be climate conscious in the way we live. And I saw some of the startups on climate change this morning. But as engineers and entrepreneurs, you have the skills to develop and implement effective climate change resilient technologies. I ardently hope that some of you will utilize the skills and knowledge you have acquired at IIT Madras to face the future challenges that threaten our existence on this planet. Ursula Le Guin, the American writer I referred to, wrote a short philosophical story titled the ones who walk away from Omelas. The story describes the life of the residents in the prosperous city called Omelas. The residents of Omelas were happy and content. However, as the narrator explains, the prosperity and beauty of the city required that one child should remain imprisoned and in misery all the time. The residents felt pity for the child. They perceived the injustice that was being meted out to that unfortunate child, but they never rescued the child because doing so would end their own happiness and prosperity. In our own real world, we are also faced with similar dilemmas. Today, you will leave this ceremony as graduates of one of the most highly regarded institutions in the world. But before you leave, pause to think about the duty it places on you. With the abilities, expertise, and understanding IIT has conferred on you, the world is at your feet. Your education makes you uniquely qualified and responsible for the world that you will inherit. What are the values you will choose to embody in your actions and innovations? Will your contributions leave this world a better place than you found it? And perhaps most importantly, will it be a better place for everybody? Or will your future also come at the cost of some suffering that you choose to ignore? A child imprisoned somewhere in the world. These are not easy questions, but none of you is a stranger to adversity. Each one of you has overcome unique and seemingly unsurmountable challenges to be here. So continue to challenge yourself. This is how we learn. We learn by challenging ourselves. This is how we keep the hope of a better future alive. I would like to thank Professor Koterie for inviting me to speak on this momentous occasion. I wish all the graduating students all the best for their future endeavors. And I would finally bow down to your parents and your teachers who have made this day possible. Thank you.